Welcome to Amplify Purpose with a little P, your guide to living with intention, presence, and authenticity. Get ready for powerful conversations that'll help you uncover your unique path to purpose, taking it one mindful step at a time.
How are
How
you?
have you been? I've been good. It's quite a productive year in terms
Yeah,
of self-care, self-growth, and
good.
also rethinking about what I want to do in the social impact space and how. My passion is still in health equity. I met this junior from the same high school,
Yeah,
and he was taking a week-long break in Bangkok, and I met up with him. And one thing he said, which stuck in my head and heart, is he said a lot of social impact enterprises are founded by founders who have unresolved trauma. And
yeah,
it was quite interesting to me. And then as I reflected on that, I was like, oh, wow, some of the things I've done and how I've done it, I think I could have done it better in a better
yeah,
narrative. And now I'm also co-leading the social impact entrepreneurship
true.
working group in the Health Equity Initiative.
Yeah,
And we are approaching it a little bit differently from the traditional development or social impact enterprise world. We actually think that it's important to build a strong for-profit entity that
yeah,
has a purpose to serve a greater good than just the investors and the top line and the bottom line.
yeah.
And it's quite interesting as I reoriented myself towards this direction. There are many people who have come together, right? I met this gentleman from the MIT Trust Center for Entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And he's been running entrepreneurship programs for MIT students. And he himself went through that program when he was, I think, an undergrad or a master's student.
Oh, yeah.
And I shared with him my journey and my dream. And he's, oh, this is interesting because they're famous for this thing called disciplined entrepreneurship, DE.
Okay.
And basically, the premise is that entrepreneurship can be taught. And then
Can be taught, but teaching, learning, and internalizing are three different things. Well, we can just traditional educations, right? Teachers
uh-huh.
can all teach, but how much the students can learn and after they absorbed and after absorbing it, even like reproducing it are
Yes.
completely different formulas.
Oh,
Observation is a lot of people, especially those very passionate social entrepreneurs,
uh-huh.
they feel like they teach, they have all the power, energy put inside to teach. But and then for what I mean, for all the knowledge transfer, it's just like
Uh-huh.
investment, right? Every step you move from one stage to another stage, you expect there's a reduction or deductions of you're losing something in between.
Okay.
By the time by the time the candidate is the students can learn the thing and reproducing it, mimic it or making the real products, and it's at the
Uh-huh.
end you have to discount a certain thing in between. So that's how I
Mm.
look at it. Yeah.
Very interesting. Very
But it
interesting.
doesn't mean we should stop teaching. It's just to tell everyone,
Mm.
like a social impact or purpose or doing good for society is a very personal thing. You can
Mm.
set a framework for others, but for the others, how much they can learn from your framework, the knowledge, there's
Mm.
always a uncertainty. And after that, it depending
Yes.
on that individual's own reflection and
Yes.
his or own journey to create something more or sometimes maybe something less. I think this is something we cannot control.
Understand. I actually like it a lot because we were trying to push social entrepreneurship in our equity initiative fellows. And
Yeah,
after doing the first session, which was shared by this Indonesian doctor, she
yeah,
ran a sexual reproductive health clinic.
yeah,
And she has a for-profit side, and she set up a foundation to address those
sure.
who cannot afford the service. And it was quite successful. And her story was inspiring. And she was so humble to say that if you have an organization that is ready to enter this space and you
Yeah,
already have the brand, she can support with her knowledge and with her systems that she's built. And if you
yeah,
don't, but you're interested in the same space, then she's more than happy to be the umbrella brand so that you
yeah,
can get supporters. And to me, this is like opening up the
sure.
possibilities of partnership in social entrepreneurship. But for the past month and a half, 2 months, it's been silent. And then we reflected as the leaders of the interest group, and we go, maybe our fellows are not ready, right? And then if they're not ready, then what is realistic?
No, but I think it's normal for all startup, no matter whether it's social enterprise with a profit side, the doing good initiative, or just traditional private startup,
Mm,
for a startup to take shape from ideas into practice, and whether the practice is sustainable is a big step. It's a difficult process. And I think this is most of the incubator funder facing the challenge also, because when social enterprise or startup in the incubation stage, when the funder taking care of everything, most of the control factors have been settled, all the risks have been managed, yes, they can grow. But once the funder is away, and the social enterprise or startup have to face the real jungle themselves, that is the real challenge, and not many can survive. But it's not only about social enterprise. I think when you take startup in general, 85% of the startup, they fail. For those we see, actually, we see only the 15% or even lesser.
Agree. My statistics of doing a little bit of side angel investing, it's like 1 out of 10.
Oh, even lower.
Yeah. So how have you been, and what have you been up to?
I'm at the University of Hong Kong.
Okay.
Now I'm working as the university management. I manage the engineering faculty. We have the dean is next to my room. He's the academic in charge of the whole faculty. I'm more the policy operation in charge of the whole faculty. I'm not employed by the faculty, but I am employed by the universities, helping the university president to pair up with the dean to enable the dean to achieve what it needs for the faculty. At the same time, also make sure the dean is not going too far away from the university central's policy. That is my relationship with him.
Okay.
The role can be super administrative or managerial.
Yes.
I try to make it more impactful in my life philosophy always. I don't like staying in the office except I'm talking to you over the computer.
Thank you.
Otherwise, I would go to see the students. I face more my colleagues. I have a team of 70 people around me.
Okay. 70.
70, yes. It's a big team actually, not including the professor. I have to handle the HR files of the professor. The professorial staff in my faculty, I have another 150 on top of my administrative colleagues. But so if I need to deal with the people matters, that can be pretty much my whole days every day. But I try not to be buried by all these administrative tasks, because you can be quite distant from the student, because to me, without the student, there's no point to have the existence of the university or even the faculty. So to me, the indicators of my work is I'm helping the student to solve their issue. That can be the satisfactions of their learning journey here.
Sure.
That can be how easy for them to access to opportunities through our university as a platform, and also how well they interact with my colleagues. Sometimes the administrative colleagues can be quite bureaucratic. It can be part of the policy of the university or the faculty. So I like to listen to the student and my colleagues. Sometimes they yell at each other. Instead of blaming the student or blaming my colleagues, I try to see how at the back end I can fine tune a little bit the procedures so that make everyone have a happier interaction or life with each other. I think this is how I make my job a bit more interesting. Otherwise, you can be an empire behind all this, and no one can see you and everyone think you are powerful. But I don't like doing things like that. I want to be like going to see the students. So that's why even for the open day, I submit myself. I don't need to sell program. That is the jobs of the professor, the lecturers, or the colleagues. But I reserve 3 hours for me to stay at the university gardens to answer the questions from the parents and the students, to tell them actually how it is to study. I think this is by doing that, I can really feel the ping pongs of my team, and also how the students see us as an administrative staff of the university. That's how I make my life a bit more difficult, but I think it's more interesting. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for doing that. I think it's much needed.
Always believe like in this kind of big hierarchy, you can survive very comfortably with a salary, with all the package the university all But at the end of the day, as an individual, as a human, you're not there just making money, right? Just like you social enterprise, you make profit but with a purpose. I think I see myself, my own life, what I told you in Kuala Lumpur is also a project of yourself.
Yes.
How you manage your life projects, even you are doing a long social enterprise job,
Yes.
but you can still make it with a purpose by sitting in a very comfortable position.
Yes. I think that's very good. And I think it's not like extremes, right? I was talking to a friend and I've known him since high school, and he's been going around the world working in organization development, organization strategy. And I talked to him deeply and quite openly, right? Because he's a friend first and foremost. He said, you can focus on the things you're passionate about, but maybe that's not your career per se, right? Or your livelihood, but it could be your projects or hobbies. And then what you said is also, how can we combine this purpose, projects or hobbies into the work we do? And I think
Exactly. I think
you've done it very well.
This is the question a lot of company, financial firms in Hong Kong and elsewhere have been thinking, because we have to accept the reality. Not everyone is so fortunate enough to have their own social enterprise.
Yes.
Or not everyone is so fortunate to be able to join a sustainable social enterprise that can generate profit and make a good impact to the world.
Yes.
I would say a big part of our society, they still work in the traditional private enterprise like banks, airlines, or hotels. So I talked to a lot of senior management in firms like HSBC and Citibank in Hong Kong.
Okay.
They're always asking us the same thing. Okay, Jason, we cannot eliminate the traditional position like customer service, like a tellers, like a fund managers in the bank. But all the new generation today joining as a fund managers or as a customer service, they also ask the question, can we make these kinds of traditional jobs more meaningful socially? Can be more connected to the society? Yes, we can push this responsibility to the banks or hotel or university management. We have the right to do that. But at the same time, I think the individual itself sitting in that positions can actually think about, when you are performing your job as an individual basis, can you make it more like aligning with your life, like objectives, or make it more meaningful? Let's say you are customer service, instead of just answering like question A coming in, you keep the answer A or whatever. You will have more passions to understand the person in front of you, to solving their problem. Sometimes I think we have a tendency in the social enterprise world is when a client coming in front of us, if their need is about making money, we tend to look them down.
Yeah.
If the
Agree.
client coming with a need is not only about making money, but let's say to support the handicapped children in their family, then we will little bit add some points for them. But let's go back to the human basic. Your role is actually to solve the problems of your client. It doesn't matter where they are the vulnerables of the society or where they are the rich one of the society.
Yes.
The first thing you need to do, you have to fulfill the expectations of your role. But then, whether you can help your clients to attain another level of meaning. Let's say you are dealing with a rich family. They just want to make money for their second generation. They are wrong. They have all the right to do it.
Yes.
But by interacting with them, by advising them, to telling them actually they can make a similar level of profit, but at the same time they can create another layer of impact to the society. This is what the customer service, the fund manager in the position in the bank can go beyond it. I think these days we are quite lazy. We always try to expect the hierarchy will give us a meaningful job. If the job is not meaningful, it's the problem of the hierarchy, instead of we looking internally ourselves, whether we can actually have a part of the responsibility. I don't say the responsibility is not with the management. They always have their role. But we have a share if that. If we don't take care of ourselves, no one will take care of us. If you don't make yourself doing a meaningful job, no, even I put you in a good organization or pull you are running yourself. If your colleagues like don't use the brain to think more, you can turn a meaningful job into a very devil job.
Agree.
No, I have to admit that for my colleagues here, Some of them are in the university for 20, 30 years. You know, their attitude is
Yes.
like, yeah, I'm counting days. It's reality. We hope we have more people would be motivated. They feel energetic to do something more. But at the same
Mm,
time, we that not everyone can have such a calling. We don't need to look them down. If we have a good proportion, it's still a proportion. That means not everyone of
yes.
society would have a better calling to do something better. Our society will be more interesting. I don't want to say it would be better because sometimes I like a Chinese saying since I moved back to Hong Kong. The Chinese saying say all the path leading to the hell is actually built by the good intentions of everyone. So everyone say I'm so you imagine you are in the projects of a company or organization.
Yes.
Everyone thinks their suggestions and their advice is doing good for the project. What they are telling you is for the good intention, good direction. But when all this good intention like bundled together with the good coordination, actually leading everyone to hell at the end. So you still need to manage it in between. But from individual perspective, for whatever they tell you, they say, I'm telling you for the good of the project, for the good of the organization. But
Yes.
imagine how many organizations they die at the end because of all these good suggestions and advice they are bundling together.
Oh, I love this. I think it's so true. And I've had conversations with my life partner, and she's a very practical person. She works in the banking industry. And
Yep.
she always says, we don't have a right or we shouldn't be looking down on anyone for whatever their purpose. And more importantly, is that everyone comes in with generally a good intention, right? I don't think anyone comes in with trying to create chaos or trying to disrupt or trying to put people in inequitable or injustice position. I think it's just like exactly what you say, all the good intentions come together and it becomes a perfect storm.
Yes,
And it just
exactly.
manifests itself like that. And then in that perfect storm, then like you say, how can we chart our own path for ourselves so that we survive in the perfect storm and we do something that is meaningful or purposeful for us? For our audience at Amplify, Purpose with a little P, maybe you can introduce yourself, who you are and what you've been doing and how has it shaped your purpose in life?
My name is Jason from Hong Kong and very ordinary person. Since I have taken up the current job, I don't even know how to describe myself anymore because for a
Okay.
very long time in my life, everyone was trying to describe me as an investment banker moving to a humanitarian sector. So that's why I was working in those contact with armed conflict like Afghanistan, Myanmar, and Syria, and those kinds of contact for a decade. And then after that, I coming to the point, I have my family need, I need to settle. So
Understand.
I doing like youth work in Hong Kong, but I did the youth work in Hong Kong in the historical moments of the social changes in Hong Kong. So it's like the continuations of my humanitarian journey. Then I moved to Southeast Asia for some social impact project, and that's how I met you. And now I got a very fortunate appointment coming back to Hong Kong to work in the University of Hong Kong as a faculty management. Yeah.
Thank you. And in all these journeys, has there been anything that your whole journey is very varied, right? I'm
It's
sure
very
at each
diverse, so that's why I don't
inflection
know how
point.
to describe. Everyone asks me is like whether I can today's with the new generation, everyone talking about career life planning, right?
Yes.
When you are young, the kids are already forced to plan whether they want
Yeah.
to be actors or nurses or lawyer in the futures.
Yes.
But when you look back my life, I have to tell you, I have 5 jobs so far. I cannot plan for it. How can you start as a finance specialist or analyst to become a humanitarian diplomat and then become a youth policy worker and a social impact driver and now university management? I always say I cannot. And probably it's the people around me can see the commonality amongst all this job. They are the ones saying that I fit the job. When myself, I look at it, I cannot. But then the only things that I can see is going through all these 5 different career is pretty much related to what you may want to ask me about purpose.
Yeah.
What is the purpose for you to take a particular job? I start from the private sector, the most I would say the blood-sucking investment banking business that everyone talking about money or you're dealing with clients, they never feel enough of having more money. But at the same time, in the bank, that is where I start champion the social responsibility projects in the bank. But of course, when you look back, I have more experience in the field after so many countries and also doing the real social projects. Though CSR project as the bank, you can say sometimes it's very decorative. It's not making the real impact that what we always want. But at the same time, not everyone can be like you and me, so engage or devote into the social impact
Yes.
sector.
Yes.
So you just like learning any languages, you can have someone always at the beginner levels and you can have someone at the very advanced level. Yes, we want to move everyone to the advanced level. Some people just say, you know what, after balancing all the factors, this is what I want to contribute. I may just want to create happiness for the elderly. I may just want to spend a fun
Sure.
day with the single parents' kid. Yes, you can say they are not doing the real impact, but does our society need this kind of small Mickey Mouse decorative projects? I think they have their values. But of course, as a donor, as someone who can mobilize resources, sometimes after doing like the similar things for years after years, we may have a higher expectations that we want all these donors or project implementers or social entrepreneurs. Can we have some deeper discussions? Can we another level to say whether we can make higher impact? Yes, after considering all the factors, after considering everything, you're still thinking that instead of doing the complicated thing, you just want simple happiness for people and for yourself. To me, I think it's okay. What it is not okay is without thinking a deeper question, you're always staying at the first level or beginner level, no matter what you're
Understand.
doing for solo. That I think this is the issue. I think we have to embrace all those people after their deep thinking. They want to have simple project because as we discussed at the beginning of this conversation, having a successful, socially driven with profitability project
Yes.
is basically it's like winning a lucky draw.
Yes. Yes.
It's not that easy. It's not that easy. Yeah.
I think it's not easy and it comes with a lot of privilege and opportunity to explore. And I think not
And a
everyone
lot of
has
luck
the benefit. Yes.
because
Luck.
you may have a good idea, you may
Mhm.
have a good, but the funding is not coming in at the right time.
Yes.
Then by the time the funding come in, your team partner may not be there. And even you have a good idea, you cannot make it happen. So I think that social enterprise or all these kinds of with a purpose business, it's just like all other business. There are a lot of factors to depend on. That can be financial, that can be human resources. But at the same time, I think timing is also an issue.
Yeah, timing. One thing that impressed on me when I visited the Institute of Philanthropy's event, Philanthropy for Better Cities, was how all these philanthropists, including Hong Kong Jockey Club charities, and there was a discussion about how philanthropists can take bigger bets and have less pressure, and also could do the initial funding, prove the model, and then perhaps work with partners in private sector or the government sector to create a more systemic program. Wondering what your thoughts are about that.
Now, I always believe a human being have to join hands and work together. Of course, individually, we can always create some impact. We can do simple things to have our community farm just out there at the university to grow food and distribute to those in need. Yes, when we are already doing things like that, if there's a potential, a possibility to talk to each other and create bigger impact, why not? But social enterprise sector is just like all other sectors in the world. Each individuals, they can have their good intention, but when you put them together, they all have their second agenda behind their mind. They start twisting the thing, but it doesn't mean we have to stop from exploring the possible collaboration. And at the same time, I agree. Most of the social enterprise initiatives are quite individually driven. It depends on the passion, the visions of the individual behind that project. But what about after that person? Most of the time, the project may terminate and stop. So I think this is the ultimate target of everyone. Can we build a system? Can we have a rule to guide the principle of running this project and to generate? I think this is what everyone wants. But I'm not trying to pessimistic. I'm trying to be more pragmatic with things. Just think about even national policy, America, China, elsewhere, everywhere, democracy or socialism with the Chinese characteristic, whatever system you talk about, a country is a system. But over the last 2-3 years, when we see the Trump administrations, what I want to say, even you have a very well-established system, at the end, it's also depending on the individuals. Because system go with the teams. The team mix of people will change over time. You cannot have the same team stay for 10 years, 20 or 30 years. So at the end of the day, when we try to build system to overcome the issue of individual philanthropic project, but the system itself at the end also depending on the people in the shape of the team at that particular moment. I don't think a system is the ultimate solution for sustainability or continuation with initiative. At the end of the day, is going back to what we discussed earlier, is like for those individuals who are so lucky enough to be able to join the team for good collaboration, and have they asked themselves very clearly, what is their purpose of joining this team? They join it because they really want to achieve the collective target, or they join it because you have another star partner in the team, you want to be part of it, or you just want to be affiliated with some brand name. I think this is the challenge of human being, because our real thinking, our real intentions or purpose never aligned. Just take environmental movement as an example. Everyone want to protect the world, want to protect the environment, but see how diverse this can be. And when all these initiatives joining together, just like what we discussed earlier, it become a mess at the end. It's like a salad.
Understand. Yeah, I met the head of Greenpeace in South Africa, and it was quite interesting seeing his narrative. I forgot his name right now, but he was clearly an activist, and I think how he led Greenpeace was in line with its activist nature. And when you approach a problem with a singular view, I think it also doesn't really lead to a constructive outcome. And one thing I'm toying with in the social entrepreneurship space is that, can we create an ecosystem where, the spirit of Web3 or the technology behind the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is really a new way of governance and demonstrating value being created and sharing in the value that's created. And I'm wondering if there can be a common platform that allows transparency both for supporters of projects through funding, cash, or in kind, as well as development partners in the community and the people that they're helping, to see how we can create something that has a distributed governance, and yet each of the modules or nodes can create things that are relevant to the community and the people that they're working on. So the governance of the project can be very different, but there's this overall transparency.
I agree. I think it doesn't matter whether we need to have first the technological advancement, whatever you name it, to enable us to achieve what you're talking about, the governance and whatever. But I do agree, even before the social entrepreneur, we're like a movement, we're going back to the traditional charity or humanitarian thing. Project governance and transparency is always the challenge. I think it is one of the reasons why I decided to leave the humanitarian sector, because being the frontline implementer, I can tell you, you always see the disparity of power between yourself and the beneficiary. No matter how equal you want to do it yourself as an individual, but because you have the beneficiary or the recipient in front of you, they would lower themselves first. And in order to gain your attentions and whatever. So
Mm.
at the end of the day, we depends a lot of the individual moral standards to see how transparent we are about the distribution arrangement or how much we want to report our issue.
Sure.
Um, we try to build some compliance system to that, but as again, it's subject to a lot with the individual how to implement that system, especially when you
Understand.
are in difficult context. So I do think yes, or the systematic way, the building a system to enhance all this governance is the basics. We all want to do it. We all
Mm.
want to do it. But at the end of the day, I think we should expect a higher moral standard or
Mm.
self-control from the
Mm.
people implementing the project for the funder. Let's say they are like
Sure.
agents like you and I, we are working on others people's money. We
Yes.
should actually demand ourselves to have a higher obligations to disclose how we make decisions, how we manage project in order to be accountable to the funder.
Mm.
At the same time, for the funder, I think the funder should also feel the obligations to oblige their team to do that. But of
Mm.
course, there's a very interesting dilemma in between here. Sometimes funders just want to see impact. Their
Yes.
KPI, their family or their foundations can achieve a lot. And so for some projects, they feel they don't want to see it, but that is their own money. Then who can control them? Who
Mm.
bothered? But then the one who is working as an agent for the sake of keeping the job, do you dare to tell the world that my own project failed? I think at the end of the day, it's coming back to the same in all individual dilemma from the private market to the social sector is all the same. I think at the end of the day, for anyone who is interested in the social enterprise, that for young people who want to join it, I think I want to tell everyone is we don't need to be too romantic
Mm.
to overemphasize the impact of the social entrepreneurial sector or too pessimistic. No, at the end, it's going back to you as an individual.
Mm.
How you want to drive the thing. You can create a super transparent project with good governance. That I
Mm.
think everyone will admire you. But then you have to be exempt by the reality by
Mm.
doing level of transparency, by responding so well to all the international standards on the need of the beneficiary you are serving. Can you survive? If yes, I'm very happy for you. I want you to be
Mm.
the pioneer, the leader for that. But
Mm.
as I say, I see the challenge to the social entrepreneurial sector. The private sector to me is more or less the same, but the only difference is it is more difficult for the social sector to attain profitability because they always have to balance with the considerations of how to do social good.
Understand. And as you were sharing, the word integrity comes to mind.
Can see a practitioner in the social entrepreneurial sector not necessarily having higher integrity than other people.
Very true. Very true.
Like office
Unfortunately,
politics, like
uh,
betray, I can see everywhere. So no need to romanticize the whole sector. It's just part of the human society. But we should admire those people who can have
mm,
their talents making more profits or going higher social status. They choose to
yes,
stay with the community and stuff. We can admire them
yes,
individually, really give them the credit. But actually, we don't need to romanticize anyone or everyone in the sector because at the end of the day, it's going back to like your university like transcript, your grade report. We go back to the greater impact, the not only the impact, because impact can be created, how the impact is generated, what that individuals have been doing like in
mm,
reality.
yes,
I think it is going back to that. We should
yes,
not, because nowadays when I go to forums or seminars,
mm,
whenever you have someone coming from a social enterprise, they say we help whatever number of people. The audience on the floor is wow, they are holy, they are saying they're good people.
For me and my podcast, I think it's about being honest and authentic. And thank you for sharing because many things came to my mind when you shared. I met someone who used to work for Engineers Without Borders, and they also support some development work. And besides the report that goes to the funder and the project partners, they also attach a failure report, which I think is great, right? Because to them, the failure is not so much a failure per se, but just to share what shortcomings and what things
Oh,
they
I,
tried and didn't work.
I support that. I support that completely. I think instead of keep listening to all the successful stories,
Yeah.
I would rather everyone can be honest what they have done wrongly. I think
Yes.
sometimes the failure lesson can teach people more than
Yes.
just listening to the successful story, because
Yeah.
unfortunately, most of the people in the social entrepreneurial like a journey
Mm.
will face more failure than success.
Yes.
And then teaching how to help people to tackle those unfortunate occasions, I think is more
Yes.
important. Mm.
Yes, I agree. And the other thing I was thinking is because I'm quite serious about this Web3 ecosystem, and
Sure.
I'm convincing Chris from the MIT Entrepreneurial Center, and he seems to be engaged. He's going to talk to the author and the head of the Center for Discipline Entrepreneurship and see if it can be updated. And there are some gaps in the social entrepreneurship curriculum that needs to be filled that the discipline entrepreneurship doesn't cover. And I think the thing that
When you say
I think
Web3 is more like a decentralization things, right?
that's right. And I
Yeah.
think it gives transparency to donors as well as agents of the donors or the community partners, as well as the recipients of the help. And I feel like if we can make it more transparent, then we can have a dialogue about it, about what works. We have the data, right? And then we also know who are the good partners to work with. And also in which context does the community and the people in the community can eventually uplift themselves so that they can help themselves. And I think the narrative of social impact development work shouldn't just stop of, oh, we help people. I feel like
Sure.
we should help and empower people across the generations so that they can help themselves. And they bring ability and capacity to co-design and work with whomever is involved. And I think it's very powerful to have someone like you help me, if you're interested, to explore this and make it so that it's real. My tendency is I do enjoy dreaming big. I do enjoy inspiring people. I do enjoy talking about purpose, my own as well as others. But I do see some shortcomings in myself, right? How to manifest it, how to manage my personal boundaries, how to manage my professional boundaries. And I think if you and other people who believe in what we're doing together comes together, I think it's going to be really powerful, right?
I think that's why we need a team. Everyone need to be complemented by someone. We cannot solve
Yes.
everything ourselves, and that is why important to pull everything like as a talent or as a resources together. But going back to what you say, okay, Web3 or those kinds of new technology can be a directions to enable us to make decisions, to have more transparency in terms of governance, to
Yes.
compare what is good from what is bad.
Yes.
But just put it another way. At the end of the day, we all need some benchmark or
Yes.
whatever decision. Even you have Web3, you have everything
Yes.
transparent.
Yes.
But by judging whether it is good or not, you still need some benchmarking. And
Yes.
whenever we have the benchmarking system, that is where humans conflict will come in. Because if you are positively discriminated by the system, that means the system favorable to your performance, then you are happy with the system. With
Yes.
the benchmark. Well, what if you are so unfortunately to be negatively discriminated by the benchmark? Then you will say, no matter it's called Web3, Web4, or Web6 in the
Sure.
future, you just
Agree.
believe in that. I would say at the end of the day, yes, all these tools or system are just the objective tools for us to form the foundation of our decisions or how we form the partnership. And as the social entrepreneurs, you need to have your circle of expertise or advisor, and you are open enough to listen to opinion that may be different from yours, and then to reveal what you are doing, to reveal what kind of people you should hang out with. I think at the end of the day, for all the decentralization you are talking about, actually we are trying to embrace the contexts. Even doing social good, we have different ways. Some better ways, some not so good. But maybe in a particular context, something not good in Thailand, maybe working in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I think instead of having like a benchmark catalog to categorize what is good or what is bad, I think
Mm,
at the end of the day, we should have another layers of
mm,
understanding of all this benchmarking or governance or guidance or principles, like what is good or what is bad subject to what factors, what
mm,
contextual
mm.
factor you work
Yes.
on.
All the co-founders,
Instead,
right?
exactly. I
Mm,
think nowadays by putting all the KPI, now I mean we have the KPIs like that organization helping whatever like number of people in that income level, that they are good. If not, they are bad.
mm,
I say,
mm,
yeah, in some context you can say that, but in another country, I mean by
mm.
but it is so much more complicated, or the
Yeah.
infrastructure is so fragile, you cannot apply the same thing. I think this is the challenge whenever we try to build a universal standard to measure
Yes.
or discuss everything. That is
Mm,
what DG trying to do. That is what
mm,
impact standards trying to do. I have no conclusion myself until now, whether I'm doing the social sector projects or social
mm,
impact project or traditional philanthropic,
mm.
just my current managerial work.
Sure.
I think at the end of the day, the only question we have to answer is, for the objective, we put it upfront to tell the whole world. Do
Mm,
we dare to disclose how we measure and let the people to review the measurement mechanism?
mm,
Of
mm,
course, you can have 20 million way to measure your impact,
mm,
and let people to critically review how you tell the story. I think this is
mm,
the way you can convince people and you can feel comfortable about what you are
mm.
doing. Because when you don't even dare to tell the people how you measure your success, yeah,
Mm,
because by helping people, let's say by lift up people from poverty, you can
mm,
actually, by saying they can have a job, your criteria is just the job. It doesn't take into consideration about the quality of the salary
sure.
and how much that then you meet your purpose. At the end of the day, for let's say an audience, you listen to this kind of story, you don't need to laugh at them, because
Mm,
if their measurement criteria is at that level, you just accept yes. Then you ask yourself whether it's a project you want to be affiliated or associated with. Then you
mm.
ask yourself, if you can do it yourself, can we do it deeper? I think we cannot just apply one standard to all. We can have
Yes.
a humanitarian standard that people want to fight for. But at the end of the
Mm,
day, it's subject to a lot of contextual factors that
mm.
I would say I don't want to be the one judging what is good or what is bad. But when
Yeah.
I look at how they come up with the formula, then I would talk to myself whether I want to do it myself or not. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's great. And I think at the end of the day, we only have 24 hours in
But
a day.
Paul, I agree to you. I want to see more transparency. I want to see more guidance. And I
Understand.
think the
Thank you.
underlying preference is I want to see many more different ways of solving social issues. Because
Agree.
sometimes when we look at the old masters in the
Yes.
social entrepreneurial sector, when they become more famous, they become a doctrine themselves. They
Yes.
want everyone
Yes.
to follow their way. But I think the spirit of Web3, like what you talk about, the level of transparency we want is actually we want to embrace more different possibility. Just
Yeah.
like always saying, all roads leading to Rome. We can solve the same issue with different methods.
Yes.
And
Agree.
what is just beautiful is human society. We don't look down any individuals
Mm,
because they can make impact from their own way. Their way may be different, but as long as after we understand their formula, we know what they are measuring, what they are presenting, then maybe the way you want, but we don't need to eliminate them as long as they can generate positivity to the society.
yes. I agree. And I think because one of the things I thought about is how do we associate the proof of work in the community development work that contributes value to the community and the people. And I believe the top-down view of imposing what value
I believe in
is
community action. I'm always
yeah,
participatory believer.
excellent.
Yeah.
And I think the community should be the ones that say, this is something valuable to us. It's important to us now. And maybe a year down the road, it'll be some other topic and they can
Sure.
determine it themselves.
But
And
at the same time, I also want to emphasize, because I'm always the person, it's like when I talk about AI, I will pull you back a little bit. I'm always trying
okay.
to stay, but not. I just want to say, when everything is too community, too participatory,
Uh-huh.
it may be very difficult to have consensus.
Sure.
I think while we are enjoying all the bottom-up initiatives, we're enjoying everyone voicing out their ideas, throwing their idea into the pool.
Yes.
All the participants also have to have the understanding up to certain points. We need to be ready to be compromised somehow. We
Yes.
need to make decisions. We need to make the relatively better decision subject to our limitations. Because
Yes.
the beauty of participation is to see a lot of ideas. But the
Mhm.
downside is, at the end of the day, we still need to make choice out of it. And that would be a very painful process, because some of the options need to be eliminated for a moment at least. We cannot have everyone going together. We cannot have everything going together. But when you look at the extreme democracy this day, we will say, yeah, I have a say, I don't care, I don't compromise. You do your thing, I don't do
Understood.
I think all the participatory method and all the community actions come with the understanding and respect that, yes, we voice out and we know how to work together. Sometimes we give in and sometimes we insist. And
Yes.
if we always giving is not the best and always insisting our is not the best either. But
Yes.
this is the art of compromising, I think, in the social impact sector we need to have.
Thank you for pointing it out. And I think it resonates with feminist values and feminist leadership, where it's about collective good, being able to work with people who might not have the same beliefs and values, but we can still move everyone together
Yeah.
forward one step at a
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
Paul, I think I may need to leave soon to prepare
Sure.
for my meeting.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time
No,
and
I hope
thoughts.
I have a good talk with you. No matter what, I enjoy this catch up with you.
Me too. And if there's more momentum on this Web3 thing, we would love
Yeah.
to talk to you more.
And I
And
can see whether someone at the university community may be interested in that. I can
Sure.
link you up. Get it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I
Thank you,
love
Paul.
the flow of this conversation. And
Oh,
let's keep in touch.
I just didn't know it happens already. I'm just checking.
You already live your purpose every moment and every day. And every time I talk to you, I get new perspectives. And
Oh.
so thank you for spending
thank you
time
so
with
much.
my podcast. Thank you. Amplify
thank you.
purpose with
Take
a
care.
little p. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.